lions and elephants and pianists, oh my. So next let's welcome Camille's Carnival, that's Theodore Lim and Irene Kim.
Okay, so what you just heard now is a small clip, and it's the beginning of a very famous cello concerto. It's Cello Concerto Number 1 by Saint-Saëns. And so he was a French composer in the Romantic era. And so based on like this short clip, you would think that his like compositions are very tense, and this is kind of like representing a thunderstorm. But actually, there's also another piece that he wrote for the cello, which is like kind of like the very opposite of this, but it's also very famous. Maybe you'll know it. And it's called The Swan. So in contrast with the other one, this one's very like calming and gentle, and it's supposed to depict a swan gliding over the water, hence its name. And so this was actually a very famous piece, so some of you might recognize it, but did you know that this was actually just one movement of a larger masterpiece that he created called The Carnival of the Animals?
So the Swan was one of the most famous movements of the Carnival of the Animals, which is a much larger piece with 14 movements. And so Saint-Saëns originally wrote it as kind of a break from his serious career, and he also had a disastrous concert tour, which he did not he wanted to take a break. So he wrote this piece, and he wrote it to make it fun for the audience to listen to. So he actually listened to it, and he felt that this might ruin his image as a mature and serious composer. So he decided to not publish the piece until after his death. So it was published a year after his death, except for The Swan, which was published before his death. So some of the most notable movements, or the funniest, one of them is the fourth movement, Tortoises, which is a slow version or a rendition of the piece Can Can, which is known for being played really fast. But in contrast to the original Can Can, this is played very slowly, which emphasizes the slower speed of a tortoise.
So this is the original Can Can? So this one's very upbeat, and then the other one. So yeah, this one's a much slower version. It's kind of really slow. It might be hard to even identify the actual melody.
So the fifth movement of the Carnival of the Animals is named Elephants, which is a duet with a double bass and a piano. So it's a waltz, which you could hardly imagine an elephant playing a waltz or dancing to a waltz. So the seventh movement is called Aquarium, and this movement is the one that uses the very unique instrument, the glass harmonica. Now this is a rare instrument, so it is often replaced by glockenspiel, but when played with the glass harmonica, it sounds much better and how it was intended to be listened to. And if this movement seems somewhat familiar to you, it may be because John Williams used this piece as inspiration for Harry Potter. So the ninth movement of the Carnival of the Animals is called Cuckoo in the Depths of the Woods. So the pianos play chords softly, which is often interrupted by a cuckoo that's played by clarinet that is off stage. So the 11th movement is called Pianists, which is the funniest name to put in a piece that is all about animals. You may think, why is there a movement called Pianists in a piece about animals? But this piece is just played as it just shows the fundamentals of playing the piano with trills and chords. And even the editor added to imitate the hesitant style and awkwardness of a beginner when playing it. So the 12th movement is named Fossils, and this is the movement where many other famous pieces are quoted, such as Danse Macabre, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and The Barber of Seville. So the next movement after that is the Swan, which is the most famous, and you heard earlier.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So actually I had a question for you guys. So after you've heard all of these movements, which movement do you think was your favorite? Does anyone care to share? Yes.
The elephant.
Oh yeah, I think that one's very funny too.
It's because these are double basses.
Did I cheat?
But pianist in the room, did you find this funny? I think he's making fun of himself. He's a pianist. He's saying, pianists are animals and they're playing these awkward scale exercises. So, but I have a question. So you opened with the stormy intro of the cello concerto, and you introduced him as this intense composer. So what made him? Was there a circumstance that made him write this very humorous and sarcastic piece?
Yeah, I think it was partly in the fact that I think he lost his aunt, and so he was kind of mourning, and he was really sad about that, and also because just in general his family, he kind of had a tragic background where things didn't go too well for him.
But wasn't there an incident that made him write this? Like a failure of
Oh,
something?
he went on a trip, and so he saw these animals, and it inspired him.
And also, his concert tour was a total flop, so he became very depressed, and that kind of made him write this humorous